Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. My name is Jackie Phillips, and our topic now is health, and we're focusing on the effects of eating disorders. We're joined by Pat Nordstrom and April Luars from Bible for Food Recovery. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
We have a lot of questions for you. First off, tell us, what is an eating disorder?
Okay. Well, if you just think naturally, we're to eat to make our bodies strong and to give us the energy that we need. We also have a type of emotional eating that it's enjoyable and it's social. It's when eating becomes the grand obsession of life that we have an eating disorders. And that's what makes it very hard to always pinpoint, because sometimes you can see it on the outside, but sometimes it's going on the inside and you have no idea it's there. It's that obsession that goes on with all types of eating disorders, whether it's anorexic, whether it's bulimic, whether it's compulsive overeating, compulsive undereating. It's that obsessiveness that is there for all of them.
So what are some signs to look for to know that someone has an eating disorder?
Someone that is thinking about food all day, they're talking about food, they're thinking about how they're going to get their next food binge or whatever it is. They're just thinking, obsessing about it. They're very concerned about their weight, other people's weight. They are very obsessed. Again, like Pat was saying, it's just a mental obsession is the main piece to look for. And then also you can look at someone's physical body to see if it's being manifested through their body weight, body size.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And you can even see it with younger children too, okay? This is what, because the eating disorders is not just in a age range, even young children that can be quite obsessed. They eat very quickly. They cannot, the food is on the table and it's gone, or they're hunched over the food and, that type, or hiding the food and stealing the food and sugar addiction, that type of thing.
Well, I think it's something you have to look for, though, because with kids, maybe they're eating quick because they want to go out and play. How do you vary the difference? Like, how can you recognize the difference? Like you said, April, women, or not even just women, but people obsess about it, they talk about it. But as women, we tend to talk about food and recipes and things like that. So how do you notice that there is a problem?
I think when you're around them for a while, normal people, we talk about food, but like I tell people, if people could, let's say if a person wanted to try themselves to say, do I have an eating problem? Usually I say, put your time on a circular chart and be honest with yourself. And put the sectors of the time when you're either in the grocery store, making recipes, cooking, thinking about food, eating food, going to a restaurant, versus other things that you do in your life. What does that look like? Is mostly what you do have to do with food. We have other talents, we have other things that we do with our energy, but people who have eating disorders, it's all about the food. And we know, we can say that because we too, both of us, were people who suffered from eating disorders. This is why our heart is so passionate that you don't have to live that way. You don't.
What are different types of eating disorders?
One is the compulsive overeater, and that is someone that I used to be, and through the grace of God, today I'm not actively compulsively overeating, and that is where I would eat large amounts of food and it would be out of control. Again, I would start out with something that was probably too sensitive to my body, which would be a high complex carbohydrate or a sweet. And then once I ate it, I had to continue to eat it. I couldn't just have that particular bagel, say, for example, for breakfast and then wait till lunch. I had to have something else before I got to lunch. And then it was just a nonstop eating. And I used food to cope with life. I used it as an escape from life. This was a comfort to me. It was a way of checking out for me. And that is one of them. And on the same time, I also was bulimic. I used exercise to control my weight. I would eat a lot, and then I would exercise, and I would sometimes take laxatives, and I never threw up, but that was a form of bulimia because I could not take what was happening to my body from the compulsive overeating.
Tell us about the book that people follow to help with their eating disorders.
Okay, in the Bible for Food Recovery, we have two main texts that we use for our recovery. One is definitely the Bible, because we use that, but we also use this book. It's a devotional called 90 Days Encouragement for the Christian Overeater, is what we use. And in that book, we use Bible verses, but we also connect it to the eating disorder so that people can understand that there is a power greater than themselves that can actually help them to control this urge to overeat. And not only that, we have a wonderful program called the 90-Day Shepherd Program, where we help people learn how to make that transition. In fact, April coordinates that program, the 90-Day Shepherd Program.
Tell us about it.
Certainly will. Excuse me. This is where someone that is established in their abstinence, meaning that their abstinence is that they found a God-honoring way of eating. Our program does not support one particular food plan. People come in and prayerfully they're getting help to maintain their food, their food and their way they're going about handling their food plans. And then what we do is, as someone that is established, like I said, in their abstinence, they take someone that is, say, struggling to achieve abstinence, which is, again, abstinence could be defined as a God-honoring way of eating. Say they're not binging anymore, they're not throwing up anymore, they have a food plan. And then we take them through this book. They read a devotional, we get them on the phone, we call them. So the shepherding is meaning that we reach out to them to help them, washing their feet. And what happens at that point is that we go through the devotional, they read from the book, at the end they say a prayer, and it talks again about how this helps them to relate to their food. And then we close with a prayer, and then we meet another time.
So this is the 90 days.
Shepherding
the
program.
90-Day Shepherding Program. Yeah.
And is this an everyday? Is it every day for 90 days? Do they come in, or do you just talk on the phone, or just explain what someone, like myself, if I wanted to do it, what would I do?
Absolutely, certainly. I would call you. I would speak with you, and I say, "Hi, what is a good time to reach you so that we can talk and go over the book together?" And I find out a time. I call you. We read the devotional together. You answer questions, which is very important. We do the journaling from the book. And the journaling is very good because it unlocks a lot of emotions related to the eating. It's just another tool that we use using the book. And then they also go back to the Bible. It's a tool that helps them unlock some of the reasons why they may have eaten compulsively. And it's very healing because they can put down to pen to paper what it is that they're feeling. Because again, I go back to the eating disorder. Mainly it's obsessive and it's emotional. So the healing is going through that process.
What are some specific questions that you might ask someone prior to finding out that they're going to join this 90-day program? What are some questions you may ask to uncover an eating disorder, to know that someone may have one?
Usually, depression is a biggie that we find. We find a lot of people who come to our program are also people who are suffering with depression too. It's amazing how those two things kind of go hand in hand. I think when people feel that they are so out of control with their food and it should be something that they should be able to control and they cannot, then they can get quite depressed about it. And again, this is why the 90-Day Shepherd Program is so important, because you're not alone in that. And also, you're not the one that has to reach out to get the help continually. You do have to initially contact us to know that, you want to be helped. But we are the ones that actually reach out to you to call you, to pray with you, to encourage you, to also help you to see how to use the Bible to get the strength, the emotional strength, the spiritual strength to do what you need to do to stay away from the food.
What different programs do you offer, and what are the costs? Because I'm sure everyone is curious about that.
Well, certainly, we basically are a nonprofit organization where mostly all of our services are free. The only one that costs are our retreats and our conferences that we have 3 times a year. We are based, it's through the telephone ministry. We have calls, which is it's a conference call that we call into a number. A couple times a week we have meetings with the 90-day meetings, 3 days a week, and then we also have Bible studies a couple times of the year. We also have a prayer ministry that we have on Tuesdays at 12:30. We also have an email devotional loop where Pat sends out emails to encourage the people that are in our ministry, the members that are in our ministry. We have phone lists where the members of the members of the ministry can call each other and support each other. Say, hey, for example, okay, it's Christmas is coming up and there's going to be lots of food around and I'm hosting my family. What do I do? Just to call someone to get the support, the encouragement, not to eat over these emotions and feelings. So it's huge. And again, like I said, we do have our conferences and our retreats. We have retreats 3 times a year where they're basically on the East Coast, and people come from all over the world. Right, Pat?
Amen. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a wonderful time to come together and just encourage one another and to see each other. Since most of what we do is by conference phone line, a lot of times we will interact with each other and haven't met each other. So when we come to the retreats, it's a time to really get to know each other even stronger. Yeah.
This is a blessing. The power of prayer, Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being here. This has been very, very interesting, and I think so many people would love to be a part of your program. So thank you so much for joining us. This is Jackie Phillips, and we'll be back next week.